Good early morning, everybody. It's Lorraine Alternative Homesteading on January 30th, 2025. And I'm going to read another testimony. And this is from CP. She provided testimony back in July of 2024. So this will be a part 2. And I will post a link to her part 1 so that you can see the flow. And the title of her part 1 was Controlled Talking Cat and Dog Do, a DEW, Female Targeted Person CP. So that was part 1. I'm going to read part 2 now. And we were corresponding, and I asked her if her targeting were better or worse in South Carolina compared to Pennsylvania, where it started. So she says, in answering your questions, I went into a lot of detail. You ask how it's worse in South Carolina. I can't say it's worse because the weapons began in Pennsylvania. They're just bolder here. In Pennsylvania, they hid and protected the quote-unquote parents. The entire surroundings are involved here. And where I was in Pennsylvania. Here, they enter the house without fear. Without fear, they allow me to see them on the camera of the directed energy weapons. They entered in Pennsylvania while I was home also. Here, my toenails are just like yours. Ugh, not nice. Vibrating always. One time here, I thought the whole house was moving. It wasn't moving. It was just my head. The dog and the couch were not moving. Here, the electricity ran up my leg and then fizzled out, and I was able to see it. In Pennsylvania, my legs were lifted from the bed on my side to foot in bed flat and knee up, like her knee was bent. This is all from the radio frequencies, so she's not sure exactly what it's from. Is it radio frequencies? Is it microwaves? The sleep paralysis was a common occurrence in Pennsylvania. Last time that, and she asked me to omit some names, and I'm not sure if this is a name that she wants omitted, but I'm just going to admit it. So the last time Blank was visiting my mom in New Jersey, Wildwood, New Jersey, in September of 2024, all things were worse that happened in Pennsylvania. These ones are just so very well set up. The beings they have are more than this one team. So what she's saying here is that there appears to be more than one team. There are various teams that are targeting her, like groups of people. In Pennsylvania, it helps in the communication of where I am, what I'm thinking, and it's way more than these two states. I can't tell you the amount of perps from Maine to Florida to Illinois to Colorado, etc. that are involved. I saw them all in Pennsylvania, or their license plates that were next door. When there's a motorcycle gang and the mafia involved and the government, question mark, it's spread far and wide. And let me warn you, as soon as I sent the email asking if you wanted, and she's offering me a piece of equipment that she's not using anymore. I won't say what it is. As soon as I sent the email asking if you want this item, they got so pissed. They couldn't shut up about it. And this was after I got my hair cut. They even pitched a fit about the tip I gave. Mama Meth is a hairdresser. I guess her shitty cuz don't get her a decent tip. Effing money whore. Anyway, I expect retaliation from these dumb effers. Everything's my fault, you know? These brainwashed idiots who risk not just themselves but their babies as a cover-up are pathetic. But we know this already. Carolina sucks, but so does Kentucky and every other state in this union when you're targeted. I lived in Pennsylvania for my entire life up until 3 years ago. The last 23 years in Pennsylvania, we were in a twin house next to the Warlock motorcycle gang members and their military team. Purchasing that house was a total setup. I think my purchasing this location was a setup also. Though it began well before that, though. The ones attached, the Warlocks, they were busted by the FBI in 2003. The meth cook was awaiting his prison sentence. The entire family had been in and out of the house attached. They were mostly hiding. So every so often, some would be allowed to, quote unquote, meet us. Like the meth cook and his wife, daughter. She lived there when V2K began. I was always harassed through the walls. Mama Meth loved to scratch on the walls after sex to rub in her unaliving of my cats, who she didn't deserve them anyway. What nut jobs. And harassed with energy weapons. The tinnitus, the pulsing sounded like an ultrasound machine, began very early on. This was where my 2 cats were unalived. My dog was burned. The dog that they unalived was on her husband's birthday, his best friend forever. At the time in Pennsylvania, the V2K began, the one meth daughter, I'll blank out her name, and her boyfriend with his son, 5 years old, on the weekends, lived there for about 3 years. I have the 3 of them on recording in my house as little, and again the son, I won't mention his name, was scared. Why is Daddy so mad, quote unquote, the meth daughter says. It's okay, little boy, I'll say. Daddy is just in a bad mood. You can walk downstairs and go home. This was as the dad was rummaging through my house. He was so loud it was obvious on a recording. He didn't get what he wanted, and he was pissed. Then down little boy walks on my interior wooden steps and goes, quote unquote, home to the attached house. Just one iron railing to split the houses on the porch. The dad talked about how he was doing bad things in grave detail to the little boy, his son. This was said 4 times, V2K, through my daughter's speakers in her car. I tried recording that, but it didn't work. It was wiped clean. Each time I called the child and youth services. 0 of that has anything to do with the targeting of me, the targeting of my family. It was a test, I believe. Very sick. You think it, you did it, but Father had a visual in his mind of doing bad things to his child, even when he didn't lay a hand on him. The kid dealt with C and Y because of their doing, and was already crying on the front steps about, quote unquote, Mommy and Daddy's always fighting. And taking in my house with Daddy and now stepmom while robbing my house. I tell you, they'd unalive their own to bring him up to be just like them. The amount of photos these idiots have of my family for gain is disgusting. She says, I use an iPhone. It's on the live setting. It's like a little video clip. I have heard them more times than I care to think of, hearing on the camera shutter the actual video. And one of my 1-year-old granddaughter, you know who they are, question mark, the ones that like little kiddos. It begins with the letter P, the Pops, the Predators on patrol, the pedos on patrol. Of course. These things don't get much more disgusting than that. With Pennsylvania still engaged due to RN, remote neural monitoring, and BCI, no doubt. The butterfly that guy talked about, you remember on my channel? It was, I think it was one of my live chats, or in the comment section, said that DARPA has these butterflies, and out of nowhere, you'll be walking around and it'll fly into your eye. And she says, the butterfly, remember what that guy talked of? She says, I have had it, and what looks like a clear wire in both of my eyes. Well, it's not a wire. My brain sends the visuals to it. The other daughter of the meth cook and his wife is the main one spewing the V2K. And then she gives me the name of, and I wasn't sure if she wanted me to say these names or not, so I'm not going to say them. However, if you're listening to this and you want me to add them, I can cut and paste what you have written to me and place it in the description section. But I will not say the names of these people, just in case. It's a female, very long name, and her daughter, Nola, and I won't say the name. Feel free to look her up. Nola is attempted to keep a secret, but sits at all hours of the early a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., with her mother and says things like, Mom, can she smell it? As my house is fumed with gases. Her mother replies with, quote unquote, I don't know, or blank, your right arm is going to hurt you for a little while. And then the mother says, Nola, why would you tell her that? Head to FB, I don't know if that's Facebook. Oh, yes. And look up her name. Like, changed now due to her reading my typing. Or type in Heffentrayer meth bust, $3.5 million in Pennsylvania, Quakertown to be exact. That doesn't change. It's on the internet. Okay, so this is an article. Heffentrayer, Heffentrayer, meth bust, $3.5 million in Pennsylvania, Quakertown. It's on the internet. This is who was next to me for over 20 years. You'll see the pentagrams on her shirts. The bat sunglasses. Bats using frequencies. And she calls herself a witch. I've seen it on Facebook. But she's still a little peon compared to the big picture. See also Stephen Capaldi, 3 doors down from me in Pennsylvania. This perp unalived his perp wife. Wow, this is big. They knew that we knew that his wife wouldn't shut up about it to the neighbors. I caught them talking about it many times. The investigation was unreal, a joke. No police ever entered their home. He unalived, and dismembered her body in a twin house with adjoining walls and yards. Is the husband not always the first suspect? And not one neighbor checked in? This was 2 months after we moved out that he unalived her. Had we been there, no way would he have gotten away with this so long. My husband would have checked on the situation. Prior to his jailing, his confession, he texted my husband, I love you, bro, quote unquote. What? He's an ex-Marine doing 22 years now. Well, now I'm living in South Carolina. Now they work in conjunction with each other. There in Pennsylvania, they're felons, terrorists. Actually, they were arrested for tea. Meth, heroin, PCP dealers, ex-Marines, union thugs, and the mafia from Philly, New York. I know this because the sick V2K job daughter of the meth makers, Natasha, married one who's named a soldier for the big boys. Same last name from Quakertown, Pennsylvania, married in New York. It's all so true. It's so sick. And it goes way back. I'm turning 51. It dates back to my teens. But make no mistake about it. I know well, it's the government. Today I posted on Quora, under targeted individuals, there are photos of, well, I can't say the word, you know, those little drone monies up in the sky shining in her yard through the windows. I saw a big loud one last night. It flew past and low over my house and opted to video. You mentioned, she's talking to me, you mentioned a high-ranking naval officer who said what they're doing to your property via the drones. It's worse than burning the grass. I'm sure you know that. Yes, I know. It is worse than burning the grass. They're poisoning me. By poisoning the grass and the land, they're poisoning me, and they're causing the land to shift. They want to cause a catastrophe. They know that I'm not going to move unless I sell the property. So they're trying really hard to do some really bad stuff here. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you how bad it is here. She said, let's see. She's advising, always slow down the videos you have. This stuff can't be seen with the naked eye, and it happens so fast. Though looking at my phone with the video on, I was able to see the shining of the lights beaming in my yard. I heard a recent testimony you read where a woman from birth was targeted, and she mentioned the warlocks. The warlocks. They were, quote-unquote, founded in Pennsylvania. I heard that. Yes, one of my subscribers mentioned that to me. And I want to add that it was founded in Pennsylvania. And now, from what she told me, they have moved. And now they're in Louisville, Kentucky. Yeah, Kentucky. Like about 2.5 hours north of me. And go figure, my ex-sister-in-law worked at a massage parlor, and the guy, oh my goodness, and the guy passed away on her massage table. Her ex? The head of the Bucks County chapter of the Warlocks gang. The house burned to the ground and he moved to New York State. Well, I won't mention these names. It's a man and a woman. She left him. And then she married her husband's brother. It doesn't even start there. I was 18 when that happened. I married into that family in the early 20s. She did everything in hopes to keep me out of my in-laws' family. I'd like to say that two worlds collided with this, as my husband and I have so much that's in common from people from our pasts. To the start of our marriage 28 years ago. That shouldn't be a coincidence. Well, congratulations that you're still married for 28 years. That's amazing. This is so long, I know. Please feel free to use it as a testimony. Please leave the names out. You did one that just used CP as my name, and that's fine. In all honesty, these idiots think of us writing or having things read online will get us in trouble. Why would a non-target follow so closely? They wouldn't. They're a bunch of scared pussycats. They love to use cats. They like to unalive them. And they use them for what they did to my mini-me cat. And to you. Perhaps because they're, quote-unquote, witches. Oh, P smack dab next to my door in this house in South Carolina is... He's a DHS manager, Department of Homeland Security. A school security cop who married the DHS manager last year, who is now a sergeant? What? Below me are the county judge's right-hand man who holds the highest seat in the county 4 courts. who has a plethora of due coming from their house. Their family owns half of this flippin' county, tons of land, and I bought a piece that was there. So yeah, all around my house, I'm triangulated with perps, even my kid's house. It's so sick. It's so much more. It's so much more regarding my daughter and what's happened to her. But here I am rambling due to these idiots and their inability to be individuals who are brainwashed into evil and can't even shut the F up. But they absolutely love doing this crap. At $270 a week. Natasha, she flip-flops last names for her benefit of crime or in hopes to instill fear. Still $270 a week. That's all she gets financially for this job. She screamed it through the wall in Pennsylvania. She is a full-time perp, as one can get. I laughed my ass off. That's a shit ton of work when broken out all those hours that she puts in. I can't imagine the lowlifes and the lack of esteem in these people. Giving up their lives to watch, listen, and spew their venomous voices into another person for $270 a week? Really? It's all about the money? Yet Natasha says that she and I, quote, hate her so much that they would do it for free. I met her once at her age of 19 because of her meth cook daddy set it up. Remember, she's drug busted, 40 plus years old, who has more than one DUI and can't work a regular job. Who'd hire with those marks on her background? Oh, and an online witch website selling Ouija boards, hats for truckers, and all kinds of evil things. She wants, and they want you to know about me. I sure as hell will learn about them. Plus, this one gives herself away. I call her the loose cannon. Her hubby, she's just one of the arrested those TRROISTS. VTube doesn't like. This is for educational purposes only. I'm reading a testimony. Regarding telecommunication companies, I have a plethora of information regarding that BS. Well, we'll save that for another time. I'll get that item out to you. I'm glad you can use it. Stay safe, and I hope this email finds it to be helpful to you and others. Feel free to use a Quora photos. Just keep my Quora name off. I looked at the photos. I might, when I have time, I might try to get them, grab them. I was having a hard time viewing what it is that I'm supposed to be looking at there. So, anyway, thank you so much for your testimony. If there are any corrections that you'd like made, or if you want me to include some of those names, please let me know. I can cut and paste them so that people have a better idea of who these people are that are harassing you. So to summarize, she lived in Pennsylvania most of her life, became targeted there, and moved to South Carolina. It's just as bad. Unfortunately, she's been married 28 years, and that's wonderful. And again, I will post a link to her her testimony, part 1, in the description section, and then I'll link it at the end. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I look forward to hearing your feedback, and I'm going to sign off for now.